Hello there, and welcome to this week's practice tip. We're going to talk this week about bonusing and how to improve the productivity of your staff and also put them in a position where they can achieve their own financial and career goals on a win-win basis. This is an organizational chart behind me here for a typical clinic. Now, this might look like it's set up to run the United States government. It's actually set up so that you can run a clinic decently. And it has various functions in it, executive functions, it has HR functions, it has marketing and finance functions here, clinical functions, and quality assurance functions. And way over here on the left-hand side, we have the public relations function, which is what drives in new patients. When this is working really well, and the staff are working really well, you have somebody over here who's driving in new patients, and they're coming in over here and getting handled really well and delivered to really well, and they become a great product in terms of quality, so they then become a resource for these people over here. So when that's working well, this goes around and around and around, and it creates a bit of an income wheel for you. Where people aren't producing, you might as well have a little trapdoor down here at the bottom, and what's falling out the bottom is your profitability and your sanity probably, and patience and all sorts of things. I'm going to give you two very concrete examples here of how you can focus a staff member on their products, you know, what it is that they're producing that has value, and how you can reward that in such a way that they win and you win and the patient wins. You know, let me start with something you're very familiar with over here. This is your clinical section here. You'll notice that in terms of all of your training, probably this is what you got trained on. All this other stuff on here is why I've got a job. That's why this is the other half of your education is learning all these things that they didn't teach you in school. But this is something that you know very well, and I don't ever attempt to teach people how to treat patients. But a clinician has a very specific product. Their product is a patient who has had their pain alleviated, they've had the cause of their problem discovered, they've had function restored, and it's a person who's educated so that they can maintain their condition. And you'll notice to the degree that they get that quantity and quality, then your clinic does real well and the patient does really well. In terms of bonusing, the first thing you need to do with people when they come in is make sure you have that basic agreement. In other words, I would never hire anybody who had the idea that a person should be paid a high wage with absolutely no expectations of productivity. You know, so you need to, on your hiring lines, ask people that. Do you want to be in a position where through your own productivity you can improve the level of your pay? You know, so in other words, I'm going to give you a base wage, and then I'm going to give you a bonus over and above that based on the productivity, the quantity and quality of what you're producing. So this is over in here. So maybe you say 50 treatments a week is what would rationalize the pay that you're giving that clinician. This differs, of course, clinic to clinic, but you have to look at what is it that you expect in terms of productivity just to justify that person's wage. And then so you have that, and above that, you have what is the highest level of treatments that a person can do in this clinic without sacrificing quality. And you've got quite a gap there. Let's say that 50 is the base and 75 is the most that can be done. You've got 25 treatments there that you can bonus on. And even if I'm just throwing this out, but let's just say that you paid $10 per visit above the 50 mark, so that you were exchanging $250, nice bonus on somebody's paycheck. You know, do you realize that for you, however, that might mean $7,500, $10,000 worth of billings a week in what that person's producing. So it's a real win-win situation. So that's just one example of a bonus plan that you could work out there. Let's take an administrative example. Over here, let's just take your front desk person. Again, if you look at what that person is producing, a front desk person may be running for coffee, they may be babysitting people's kids who are rude enough to bring their kids with them in for their visits. They're doing all sorts of things, but there's one thing that they're doing that is more vital and valuable than anything else, and that's this. They're getting a patient. Their product is a patient who fully understands, agrees with, and complies to your policies, particularly your policies on scheduling and billing. So a patient who fully understands, agrees with, and complies to those policies. Not just tossing papers at the patient and having them sign it and then sticking it in a file. They're making sure that that person understands it. And that requires a little bit of good two-way communication. Now, to the degree that they do that, you're going to find that that patient's scheduling compliance will improve dramatically. We look at a statistic in that particular area on a front desk person like that. We look at the percentage of patient arrivals. You know, in most clinics, that's about 80–85%, something along that line. A person who's really trained to do that and to know how to communicate patients so that they get that understanding and agreement can change that statistic 10–15%. You know, that, you think about that, if you're billing, like, even if you were billing, say, $100,000 a month, that 10–15% difference is $10,000, $15,000 in your pocket. Now, do you think that you can give a bit of a bonus for a person to keep that statistic up there? The answer, of course you can. So that's two ways that you can set up win-win bonus plans in your clinic. And that, of course, right across the boards here, literally across the board, across the organizational chart, that is a way that you can do that with every single person in the clinic that will get them producing at a great level, reward them, and everybody's going to be happy. That is covered in detail in section 4 of my book, and examples are given of bonuses and types of rewards that you can do. So the book is Keys to Private Practice Success. It is a treasure trove of information. It's actually a wonderful desk reference. Whenever you're trying to solve these sorts of things, you just flip to it and you look in there and you find those things. So make sure you pick that up at survivalstrategies.com. The other thing is we do a webinar once a week on this particular topic. I do a webinar with CPA Bob Holmes called Financial Planning for Improved Profits. And you can register for that as well by going to the website. That's free. It's an hour, and we go over this whole topic and a bunch of other tips on how to improve your profitability. So I hope that has helped you. And just remember survivalstrategies.com, and also remember our 800 number. You can call us to schedule 800-834-0357. So survivalstrategies.com or the 800 number. Either will get you there, 800-834-0357. I'm really looking forward to having you on the webinar with us and talking to us. So put that to use and have a great week.